All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates. I am Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to our channel if you enjoy what we have to say, what we talk about. It's all Bills all the time. We always appreciate all the support. Huge matchup coming up. Bills against the Patriots on Monday Night Football. It's for the first spot in the AFC East. Big time implications. A big game on prime time, Mike. What do you want to see from this Bills offense?
Oh, what I want to see is them play with a little more physicality in this game. And I think that can get them to be the team that they are. And if you follow my thinking here, if they don't do that and they're just relying on Josh looking down the field, throwing the ball, different ways to play their way, especially when weather could be a factor, I think they could be in trouble. I want to see a level of physical play. I want to see them run the ball and protect their quarterback in a way. Protect Josh Allen like he is your superstar quarterback and keep everybody away from him, right? Come into that mindset with the offensive line. It's not like all of a sudden they're going to become this road grader O-line and they're going to run for 200 yards, but they need to show that they're going to fight back against what is a very good defensive line from the New England Patriots.
Yeah, I think they have to prove that they can play a physical game against another physical team and go blow for blow and go punch for punch with another playoff caliber team, which is something they have struggled to do this year. And this is kind of answering the bell, boxing pun intended, because this is where you have to win the line of scrimmage, especially because of the weather. It's supposed to be nasty. It's supposed to be windy, all of those things. This game, and Sean McDermott has preached it, and it's little bit surprising how they have been so lackluster at times at winning the battle at the line of scrimmage. Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane always talk about how you got to win the battle up front on both lines of the ball. In the games they've lost, they've gotten embarrassed, and not my words, Sean McDermott's words, of being pushed around. This Patriots defensive line will try and push you around. The Patriots offensive line, very big, very good. They are, Mike, those road graders. They need to be able to interrupt that and push their will and kind of have a little bit of sense of pride, a little bit of anger, a little bit of physicality, and go at the Patriots.
I think when you think of this Bills team, I always think of a more finesse style of the ability to have Josh Allen with the ball in his hands, getting it to Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders, Gabriel Davis, Cole Beasley, like that type of style. But I agree with you guys. If you're going to play football late into the regular season, into the playoffs, you got to be able to go punch for punch with other teams. I want to see this Bills team play smart too. I want to see them play fast, but I also want to see them protect the football. Look, Josh Allen has thrown 8 interceptions in the last 5-ish games. Here's the thing. Some of those interceptions, all interceptions, let's be real, are not created equal, but ball security against this Patriots defense is to the utmost degree important because of how we've seen this Patriots defense be able to take the ball away. And that has been this Pats team's kind of bread and butter for creating turnovers and then their offense being able to take advantage of that. But I just want to see the Bills consistently be able to dominate the line of scrimmage. And I think, you hear Sean McDermott talk about like it's a football cliche. Games are won in the trenches. But we haven't, when the Bills have struggled, it's because they have struggled there. And I think we want to see, you need to see, and it's going to be the key to this game, seeing that type of play.
I don't necessarily know if they have to dominate the line of scrimmage. I think they have to not be dominated because I think they have better
I think that's fair.
No, you're making a good point, but I think my concern for the Bills is they get dominated that way. And then you can't get anything done. And doesn't this offense look, everybody likes that physical play and you watch it and all, but there's nothing like when Josh is going, the passing game's working and they're moving the ball. But you got to sort of eat your vegetables to get to have dessert here, right? You got to do the work to get to have the fun. And I think in this case, it may not be a wide open chucking the ball all over the place, but if you prove that you can protect Josh and you prove that you can move the line of scrimmage, it's going to set him up for making some plays. And I will say that I think New England, you would think initially they're going to try to take away Stephon Diggs. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling the guy they're going to want to take out of the offense is Dawson Knox. I think they're going to look and say, if we take Knox out, there's a lot of help you give on a guy like Diggs, as good as he is. I think they'll think that Knox is a key, and he might very well be to their offense this week. So let's see how Knox responds. Let's see how the Bills respond, knowing that could be the case.
Yeah, I want to see this team play fast, smart, and physical. I think is probably the way that I would characterize it. Dan, what do you think in terms of the defense? We've seen Mac Jones. I mean, look, the Patriots have won 6 games straight. We've seen Mac Jones as a rookie kind of come in, be confident, make the plays that are expected of him, and have the ball move in terms of they're able to move the chains and they're able to get down the field. And we've seen this Patriots offense be able to do that.
Yeah, this is going to be – the Bills have had defensively a lot of success against young quarterbacks this season. They have been able to confuse them, whether it's Taylor Heineke or it was Davis Mills, or even they've been able to confuse Tua. Now they have to do that at another level of, again, confusing Mac Jones without the luxury of having Trey White being able to take away one thing. So this is going to be on, whether it's Matt Milano rotating coverage and Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. This is going to be, I mean, it's always a chess match when you play Bill Belichick, but even more this time where the Bills have to do something to make Mac Jones uncomfortable. The last 2 games I've watched from the Patriots, and I haven't watched all of them, Mac Jones looks very comfortable in the pocket, knows where he wants to go with the ball. You need to take that away. We always talk about how Bill Belichick defensively wants to make you play left-handed. The Bills need to kind of enforce that on the Patriots. Make Mac Jones go to his second, third reads. Get him to stay in the pocket just a little bit too long and be off rhythm, whether that's jamming wide receivers at the line, being physical not only at the line of scrimmage, but all throughout the defense. Be physical throughout. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. I would say the other part of this too, Jenna, is that the Bills have played since the day Sean McDermott walked in that place and then with Leslie Frazier. They do not want anything going over the top to beat them. They've always played that way, and it works. They rarely give up big plays over the top.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that. And I'm not the guy that thinks Mac Jones can't throw the ball down the field. He has thrown it a little farther in the last few weeks. Yeah. But I'm talking about where it takes away your ability to come up on plays, to take away those. You know, Mac Jones is going to beat you with the 3rd and 6th throw for 12. That's how he's going to beat you. That's what he's been doing. And I want to see Leslie Frazier and Sean McDermott play a style that brings those safeties a little farther in and dares them to say, okay, you think Mac Jones can beat us over the top? Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead. Let's see if you can, because we're going to come up on Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, and we're going to play it tighter and be physical, like Dan said, maybe at the line of scrimmage, things they don't do as much. And I think Dane Jackson can play pretty physical. Yeah. Aaron Johnson can play that way. We know Poyer and Hyde can play that way. So I think that's what I would like to see defensively from the Bills. Don't give them those short passes.
I agree with that completely. My concern, though, is that while Mac Jones has been effective, at the same time, their running game has been powerful and they've been strong and they've been able to, you know, what's the stat? I believe the Bills have run the ball more so far in these last couple games or whatever it is compared to the Patriots. But I mean, Dan, we've seen this team get run on in that Colts game. Is that, I'm curious how Monday night will play out, because is that an anomaly, the Colts game, or is that an example? Is that a blueprint? Like, how worried are you about that?
Very, because that's a physical. It's not just the fact that it's one team has, you know, the Bills have done a pretty good job at times of stopping the run, but it's the fact of it's a power running game, meaning one back, a fullback clearing the way. Pretty much, the Colts had no problems running against loaded boxes. The Bills put 8 guys in the box at times. Didn't matter. Because the Colts have that physical of an offensive line. So it's not just, you know, the Bills aren't giving up tons of rushing yards on jet sweeps and reverses. Like, they're getting run on right down the middle when they're lining up going, hey, I think you're going to run the ball. And they're going, yep, and you can't stop it. That's where this is concerning, because the Patriots will do that and just want to punch you in the mouth.
And by the way, I've seen some people post the stats. So the Bills have run for more yards at a higher average than the Patriots. And that's because Josh Allen is in there. New England runs the ball effectively when they want to run the football. That is the difference. And I'm sorry, Bills fans, I know you get wound up saying this. When they choose to run it, they run it well. And that's why they're good. They get the lead. They aren't putting up crazy numbers, they are putting up impactful numbers in the run game. They're a better running team than the Bills.
Yeah.
And that may be a huge thing coming up on Monday night because of the weather.
Some stats can lie.
Yeah.
And a lot of stats, like Mike said, needs context.
Yeah.
The Patriots over the last 6 games have been up and been up big and early and often.
Yep.
So they have been running the ball at a high rate. The Bills, I just looked this up, have ran the ball 285 times. And obviously a lot of those are because of Josh Allen. The Patriots have ran the ball 334 times. And that has nothing to do with Mac Jones. Absolutely nothing. So the Patriots, especially recently, are running the ball a lot in situations where they want to run the clock when the defense knows they're going to run the ball. All of those things are not a great formula for having a high yards per carry. It's like when teams, the Bills, do have a lot of times a pretty good run defense. That's because teams are behind and having to play catch up against them.
Yeah.
So again, don't look at these stats and go, oh, well, if you say the Patriots are good at running, then we're phenomenal at running. It's not. Look at some context.
Yeah, the context is huge. Dan's going to lose his mind, Mike. But you mentioned the weather.
Yeah.
How much of a factor? Okay, so we were in Orchard Park. We were at Highmark Stadium on Thursday for Bills Media Day. Dan and I were outside the stadium. We broke 2 umbrellas because of the wind and how much it was whipping around. It was raining at one point. Then it was snowing at one point. Then it was hailing. How much of a factor truly can this be on Monday Night Football?
If it's just normal, cold, December night, little snow, wind, I don't think it's that big of a factor. But I don't think that's what they're predicting. I mean, our own meteorologist, Scott Hetzko, is telling me only a couple inches of snow, but swirling winds, high-speed winds that are coming in. Swirling is the worst for that because it's going to be like, when can you throw it? When can you kick it? And the ball's going to go all over the place. I think it's an advantage. Now, I will also say this. I don't think Mac Jones has played in this.
Yeah.
Am I missing something? All those big snow games in Alabama that he played in, right? And in this time of the year, they're almost always in a dome when they play. And it hasn't been, I'm trying to think. I haven't seen them. I mean, it's just now getting cold. They were, they played the Titans. I think that was, it wasn't like bad. It wasn't anything weather. So let's see how he does in those circumstances. Josh Allen last year in December and January was 7-1.
Wow.
So now that's a stat, but he played well in the Colts game. Okay in the Baltimore game. The end of the regular season, even in Denver, everywhere, he killed. In Foxborough, he was awesome. But there wasn't like terrible weather in those games.
Yeah.
We could have that money. I hope we don't. I hope it's a true test of these two teams playing, and we get to see them play the way they can play. But Jenna, before we get going to our picks, tell everybody what Josh said about a dome today.
Okay, so there was a question asked at the Bills press conference to Josh Allen. If the Pagulas were to come to you and ask you if you would like a stadium that's domed or if you want a stadium that is open air, Josh Allen smirked and said, no comment. He went, no comment.
You want to hear something? The Bills playing outside in these elements is a disadvantage to them in this game.
I agree.
And that if they were to play this game in a dome, I think the Bills have no problem. I think they would win and would be favored by a touchdown. I think these elements shrink the Bills' advantage and play into the Patriots' strengths.
Yep.
It's just the way that the Bills are built and the way the Patriots are built. Yep. And yes, speaking of built, they should build a dome stadium.
Yeah, I'm team for the closed roof, or like something like Indy. If you could have like the retractable roof, all that'd be pretty cool. But no, you know what Josh Allen wants. Yeah, did he go to Wyoming?
They all want it.
They of course
hate
they
playing
do.
in the cold.
Yeah, that was the best. That was the best. Micah Hyde last year being like, nobody loves playing in this.
Tom Brady used to hate it, and he just got it in his mind. Typical of Brady, but like he just said, I have to play well in this. I'm in, Foxborough.
Yeah.
And he playing in December and January and, into Super Bowls in February. And he just said, But they don't want to play in this.
It's not like Brady was wearing short sleeves. He was wearing scuba suits.
Yeah.
That's how much he hates the cold weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's brutal. And by the way, I just want to tell fans who are like, the season gets longer and longer and longer. These playoff games are into deep January. The Super Bowl used to be like the first week in January, second week max. Now the Super Bowl's a month later. So there's way more cold weather, way more issues than there used to be.
Completely. I agree. All right, let's get into our picks. Dan, we'll start with you.
I want to come out right away by saying my head says Patriots. My head says this is a matchup that the Bills have struggled with, like Tennessee, even like a Pittsburgh team that wants to just run the ball, play physical style on offense. Very simple offense, a physical defense that has given the Bills problems we saw in the Colts game. My heart says that this place and this home field advantage of the crowd and Mac Jones being confused by a veteran-led defense gives the Bills the edge. I think this game is low scoring. I don't think this game is pretty by any means.
Correct.
It'll be a playoff atmosphere feel. I think I'm going to go with the better quarterback in this game. And I even think maybe even the smidge better defense, even without Trey White. I really like the way that this back end of the secondary is playing with Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer in these games to confuse Mac Jones. 24-21, I will go Bills.
Okay. Took my pick.
It's a little bit of a different one than I gave on the Thursday special. It's a little bit of a different one, but I'll go 24-21.
That sounds familiar, John.
I was going to say, that's because that was my pick. I'm not changing my pick from the special, so I'm just going to ride with it. But I agree with you, Dan, in those points. I will say that Dan and I have talked about it. Mike and I have talked about it. This is a hard game to predict because of how these teams stack up, the weather being involved too, and just knowing that this is a Patriots team that plays very well in terms of they're not going to beat themselves. There's not a lot of penalties. They're going to stick to what they know, and they're very good at doing it. And the fact that Bill Belichick trusts this team scares the hell out of me because that means that they are performing at the level they're supposed to be. Earlier on in the season, this was a team that kind of looked like they were still struggling. Mac Jones finding his way. And they've been able to string together wins and be consistent, which is something this Bills team has struggled to do. Dan, you mentioned it. The Patriots have been consistent for 2 months. The Bills haven't been consistent for 2 weeks. There's a lot of worry that goes into that. But at the same time, I think with it being at home, with it being that Buffalo crowd at night, with that weather, with that backing, I believe that Josh Allen can get enough going in the passing game with the weather, but also I'm going to see the physicality from this defense. I think that they are pretty pissed off. I can say pissed off at how everything went with the Colts. They want to stand up and show that they can be a team that can take down the run and play physical. Because of that, I have this Bills team eking out a win, 24-21. Mike?
I figured Dan was going to do something with the yellow pad. I thought something was coming up.
You're good.
All right. So here's what I worry about with this game for the Bills side. I think the Patriots are better on both lines of scrimmage, and that's a tough thing to overcome. But this is a big game in a big moment, and I'm going to put my faith in Josh Allen in this case. I think it has been a year where I don't think he's really shown regression, but it hasn't been what he had last year. I think this is the moment he steps up for this team. He's still played well. He played well in New Orleans. He made plays. I think this is the game he steps up. I think he's sitting there saying, no, Mac Jones, you're a rookie. I'm Josh Allen. I'm the guy that was the MVP candidate last year. It's my division right now. It's the way Tom Brady lived for 20 years in this division. I'm not saying Josh Allen's going to be Tom Brady, but Mac Jones isn't Tom Brady either. It's the first time he's been put in this spot. And let me tell you something. You guys are going to watch that game on ESPN and get so angry because they're all going to show their love for the Patriots. And the Bills are going to be hearing that too. And McDermott is playing it up. He's referred to them as the first place Patriots. This team comes out angry, but it's still a close game. I have a way bigger separation than you two. You both had 24-21. I have Bills 24-20, winning it by 4. Somehow getting it done on Monday night.
I think the Bills love being in that underdog role, as we all know. And even though Vegas has them as essentially, what is it, a 3-point?
No, I've seen 2.5. So technically,
Okay.
So they're saying technically on a neutral field, the Patriots would be the favorite.
Oh, wait till you see that ESPN thing where there's like 9 of them out there picking, and you'll see Patriots, especially like Randy Moss is doing that, Steve Young. They're all going to do that. You watch. Yeah. You'll get angry.
Yeah. And I think the Bills will too. Mike, why don't you tell everyone what we have special on the channel this week as we got to talk to ESPN?
Yeah, we got a couple of opportunities. Mike Reese, you guys know, covered him a long time. Very fair, very honest, knows what he's talking about with the team. Great conversation. But then on Thursday, got a chance to talk to Dan Orlovsky, the busiest man in NFL football. I don't think anybody in the media, I don't think anybody's busier than Orlovsky. Loves breaking down. Gave me everything on what Josh Allen's doing. He's very big on Allen, not thinking it's a regression, just talked about different things happening, what the Bills can do and need to do, and gave me a lot on Mac Jones. Also gave me some great insight onto the whole hoodie sport coat deal, and in reference what Dan Fates needs to do going forward. You'll want to watch that. Yeah. It's the conversation with Dan Orlovsky right here on the Buffalo Plus channel.
I was gonna say, I mean, not to be a little bit of a braggart, but like, where else are you getting a Dan Orlovsky breakdown of what this Bills team can do, how they match up against the Bills in a longer format, and of course with Mike Catalana, who's decent at his job. So we love that.
Well, it's very specific to this game, these teams together, and from somebody, any of us who know the Bills from that perspective. And Dan was great. He was great in that.
Yeah. I'm sure he looked great too. And he will now be sporting the.
Oh, by the way, just so you guys know, next week he's breaking out hoodie sport coat. Told me that. He said next week it's coming. And
ahead of him.
Yes, but he's like, I'm wearing it next week. So be ready. Yeah. Be ready. When you see it, that's got something to do with Buffalo Plus.
Woo! I'm excited. All right. Please be sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. Again, if you enjoy our content, we always appreciate all the support. And the best way to help out our channel is by subscribing and liking. So we always appreciate that. All right. For Mike and Dan, I'm Jenna. We'll be at the game on Monday night. Mike and Dan will be. We'll have plenty of coverage on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel for all your Bills insight, analysis, and fun, we'll call it. Check out Buffalo Plus. So thanks for watching, everyone. We will see you once again as we get ready for the Bills against the Patriots on Monday Night Football.